The basic issue is that until recently, we all have been talking of a glut in the market, that supplies are getting higher and higher and demand is not growing that much. And that was the reason that the prices were a bit under constraint. They were not rising. They were moving around $60 to $65 a barrel. But with the advent of war between the US-Israel combination and Iran on the other side, things have changed completely. If you look at it, markets are not sure of how the conditions are going to evolve. What would be the ultimate impact on the oil flow from that region? And we are already witnessing almost a rather constraining impact on oil flow from that part of the world to the rest of the world. Now, you will have to combine it with a few things. Russia has already been under pressure, under squeeze, and not so as to reduce the Russian oil or to eradicate the Russian oil from the market. There was pressure on India, which had emerged one of the large buyers of Russian oil over the last year or so, to stop or literally reduce it to as little as possible its oil imports from Russia, despite cheap offers. Now, the only buyer then was China, which was not ready to follow the dictates of the global powers in that sense. So there is a tightening of a screw on Russia. The flow of oil from Russia has gone down. Now there is another squeeze on Iran. Iran was also under pressure, but there were some buyers to be found. China was one of the major buyers of Iranian oil. Now that is also under big question. Number three, how and what would be the state of flow from the other Gulf Arab producers? Now that is also a big major question mark is standing around that. For instance, almost 17 to 20% of global oil shipment passes through Straits of Hormuz. Now, there is no official blockade on shipment through Straits of Hormuz by Iran. But the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has already warned that any vessel, any ship passing through this straits would be under attack. So although no formal announcement to that effect, but warning has been issued by the IRGC. So, and then today only, when we talk, Ras Tanura, one of the largest producer and processor of Saudi oil, which processes almost 5 million barrels a day before shipping it onwards. Now that they have announced closing it down, no one knows how long, although it is not anticipated that this would be much long, because the damage to the Ras Tanura facility, it doesn't appear to be extensive, but still there is a stoppage. On the other hand, Qatar, one of the largest LNG suppliers. Now, Qatar LNG has announced that Qatar Energy is halting LNG production and hence shipment. So if you look all around, from tightening of screws on Russia, from the non-shipment from Iran is no more in a position to ship its oil, the unofficial blockade of Straits of Hormuz, the attacks on Ras Tanura, the attacks on Abu Dhabi also could impact the flow of oil from that part of the world. Qatar Energy halting LNG production, all this combines into a situation which has rarely been observed in the industry until now, except perhaps during the Gulf Wars. So, but even during the Gulf War, the Russian operations were open. That was not under any threat, and Russia is a major player in this market. So all said and done, that is the basic reason why you see the oil prices is spiking all of a sudden from what it was until a week, 10 days back, when it was $60, $65 a barrel. It is going to impact considerably. 17 to 20% of oil is shipped, of the total global shipment of oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz. There are a few alternate shipping lanes from Bab el-Mandeb, but that also is a question mark, especially because of the threat from the Houthis and the Yemenis. So and already that although there is no official blockade, as I mentioned, but there are still threats to the vessels passing through the Straits of Hormuz, and virtually all the major shipping lines from Maersk to Hapag-Lloyd, everyone has suspended shipment from that part of the world. So literally no ship is passing through Straits of Hormuz for the time being. In fact, there have been 2 or 3 attacks already reported in the media on vessels passing through the Straits of Hormuz since Saturday, when the war erupted all of a sudden. But it is not just one way. Of course, when Hormuz stops, 17 to 20% of flow of oil to the world stops, and most of this oil goes to China, India, Pakistan, that part of the world. So that would definitely be impacted. But it's a two-way traffic from there. And this is something people are not pointing it out, that this is not just one-way traffic that is passing through from Straits of Hormuz. The most of these Gulf Arab states, from Saudi Arabia to Abu Dhabi to Qatar to Bahrain to Oman, they are dependent on imports for virtually everything, from grains, from wheat, from rice, from virtually everything. So that is also being impacted. So we are getting into an untested waters right now. Now, prices, there are already indications that, in fact, this morning when we are talking, it's Monday afternoon here in the West, in North America, and prices have gone up by virtually 10%. In fact, just now, a bit 10, 15 minutes back, I was looking at it, and Brent was selling at 79.41. Before the start of war, it was at $72.87 a barrel. So about $7 a barrel has gone up as soon as the markets opened on Monday. Similarly, WTI, the American Standard crude, that has gone up from 67 on Friday to 72.79 today, Monday afternoon here, Toronto time. So all said and done, and again, people are talking of $100 a barrel, as you were mentioning. There is every possibility. Now, no one really knows it. People are conjecturing. People are speculating. But there are reasons to speculate. There are reasons to make these sort of conjecture. The basic issue is that prices could go touch at least even 100. Some are saying, Barclays, for instance, is saying 100. RBC's Helima Croft is saying 100. Rabobank is saying a bit on the conservative side, 92. Ristad, the Norwegians are saying 92. So no one literally knows. There is confusion. But the only one thing absolutely correct is that the prices will go up even further from, if it is approaching $80 right now, it will go up further from this point in time if the war persists. This is going to impact virtually everything and virtually every person in the world. This will impact Mr. Trump as well, because midterm elections are approaching. And Mr. Trump, one of his basic, the flag that he has been holding along is that he would reduce the prices in the American markets of gas. Now, if gas is what we call in Pakistan as petrol is called as gas here in this part of the world. So with midterms approaching, Mr. Trump would not like his voters to get annoyed from him and not vote for the Republicans. So that is a major threat to him. And that Mr. Trump is already faced with low ratings. That would definitely go further down if gas prices around the pumps goes higher. Now, higher oil prices also means weak dollar. And that means weak dollar supports even higher oil prices. So that means the prices has a capacity to go up still further. So all said and mean, that situation is literally very fluid. No one really knows where the prices would go, but inflation is going to get up. Prices are going to get up. Where? That is the only debatable point. So the ultimate underlining situation is that it will all depend upon how long this war persists. Now, interestingly, with all these things, Trump has already indicated that let's go off the ramp. Now, can he go literally off the ramp? And how soon can he go off the ramp? Would Mr. Netanyahu permit him to go off the ramp at this stage, or he would like to go for a complete killing of the Iranian situation, getting rid of Iran as a major power, maybe even dividing Iran into 4 or 5 portions, making sure that a regime change takes place there? It is not clear, but Mr. Trump has hinted at going off the ramp. Iranians are faced with a different scenario. With the assassination and shahadat of Imam Khamenei, it is a difficult scenario altogether. Iranians are pragmatic, to be fair. They have always showed pragmatism. They did show it in last June when they were under pressure. They just fired a few missiles on Israel, and that's it. Then they stopped and they said, okay, let's cool it down. Now, the killing and the assassination of Khamenei has changed the equation further, and they would like to have some face saving. What is going on in the entire region, in Israel, in Abu Dhabi, in Riyadh, in Dubai, in Qatar, in wherever you look around, in Bahrain, where the 5th fleet is stationed, I think that could be a part of the face saving that Iran is needing at this moment. Without face saving, they are not going to make any compromises. But to the best of understanding, some people say that the very idea of regime change perhaps is now off the table. That is not going to take place. But anyway, we will have to wait to find the final answer to this and the other questions, whether Israel succeeds in all its objectives and ambitions with the attack on Iran. This has been a question mark for instance, in Pakistan. We needed to have energy reserves. We literally did not develop it in real sense. In 1973, after the Arab-Israel War of 1973, and the Arab oil embargo on the Western powers, including America, the likes of Kissinger engineered the formation of International Energy Agency, which is based in Paris, in France. Now, one of the major objectives of International Energy Agency, which is now led by Mr. Fateh Birol, that is basically one of the objectives was to ensure that stocking is developed in most of these industrial countries. They must have ample reserve to serve them through any difficult period or any such scenario. Now, US developed, they have got strategic reserves. Most of the industrialized countries developed their reserves. India and China developed their reserves. Pakistan did not in real sense, for any good reason. There could be many reasons that we were in a different, and in case of any such situation prolongs, Straits of Hormuz remains closed, higher prices, either we pay for it, and even right now, there has been news that Saudi Aramco had cancelled one of the cargoes, had refused one of the cargoes in March to Pakistan refinery, if I'm not wrong, it was Pakistan refinery. So they have refused it. So our not having strategic reserves is definitely a major problem on our part. We also, even militarily, can Pakistan afford a long-term war without having reserves? That remains a big question. So having reserves, oil reserves to sustain without oil flow into the country for at least a month, two, that is imperative, which we have not developed. And from now on, even if this war subsides, there would be definitely a sort of barrier between the Arab Gulf countries and Iran, between Israel and Iran. So all said and done, there is a possibility that when it finished last June, people said it's gone for at least 2-3 years. It did not. 6-8 months back, later it is back again, and with much more venom. So this situation is fluid right now. It could get back again depending upon where it ends and how it ends. So Pakistan and countries like that need to have some sort of reserves which could sustain them for considerably longer period of time. Unfortunately, we don't have really any cushion at this point in time. Immediately, as I said, on Friday the pricing was 72. Today it is almost 80. So there is no talking about it. Pakistan, you will be facing it tomorrow. This morning when I passed through my gas station, the prices have gone up by 10 cents a liter. And, excuse me, and I'm pretty confident that if the war sustains, even for a few more days, it is going to go up. Today it was $1.35 a liter here. I'm sure it would. In fact, I was looking at my that how much oil, how much gas I have, and it was saying 400 some kilometers because I filled it up during the weekend, just before Saturday. I think I filled it up on Friday. The prices were down to 119 or 20, 1.19 per liter. Today it is 135, 1.35 a liter. Tomorrow or 2 days later, it will be much higher. That for sure. So the impact would be immediate on virtually everything from transportation. You see, everything, 70% of oil is used where? In transportation sector. And if transportation goes up, your trucking would go up. The pricing, the transport cost on each and every product would go up. The supplies, the shipping vessels, insurance on shipping vessels would go up. So all these things would combine to really put up a new wave of inflation, higher prices. God knows when this war ends, and only then perhaps one would be able to see it cooling down a bit. Otherwise, for the time being, it's just bad news all around.